Okay, I went ahead and opened up the phone stand that we had previously gone and added the resting plate assembly mate. Now what I did is we had gone and mated this edge here with this edge, and that's okay, but that was actually a temporary mate just to kind of get a wherewithal to see what we're going to do on this particular assembly. So what we're going to do now is we're going to go down to actual mates, and we're going to scroll all the way down to the bottom and find that one mate. As I roll my mouse over, what it does is it'll show me different mates that I've created, and there's the last one we created. So once my mouse is over that, I'm going to right mouse click and I'm going to delete that mate, get rid of it. Okay, now that that's gone, this thing is free flowing and I can move it anywhere I want. But what I want to do is not change anything, but quickly come around and find this one scallop edge right here, and I'm going to click on it. And when I do, the mate and menus fly out here, pop up. I'm going to click on mate, and then what I'm going to do when that comes up, I'm going to make sure I'm set to coincident. I'm going to rotate around, zoom out a little bit, and I'm going to grab the back of this resting plate here, and as you can tell, it moved the part up and connected it. So I'm going to go ahead and accept that, and then I'm going to come over here and I'm going to look at the right side view of this. Oops, wrong one. Let's go look at the back side view of it. Okay, so you can see that it's actually connected there. Now what I want to do now is I'm going to take and rotate just a little bit here, zoom up on this, and then I'm going to rotate back so I can see this bottom side plate here. Okay, what I'm going to do there now is I'm going to select that one face right there. Again, I'm going to mate it, and this time I'm going to mate it to the actual base plate right there. Well, I don't want to go down that far, obviously, so what I'm going to do is kind of come up here so we can see this a little bit, and let's figure out what's the best distance to mate off that. Well, in the phone stands I've previously made, I found that that's too big, a little over 3/4 of an inch, but 0.5 or half of an inch from that resting plate to the bottom base plate is probably sufficient enough for us. So I'll go ahead and accept that. Okay, now that I've got that in there, what I can come back and do is I can zoom out here and I can see that I've got this in there. Well, if I put my phone on this plate as it is now vertically, it's going to fall off, and that's not what I'm designing this thing for. So I need to rotate this back at an angle, and what I can tell from my design, that if I rotate it back, it actually is going to be allowing me to touch this one edge. Now there's probably two ways to do it. One way is where I can just come up and do a coincident mate. Let's experiment with that. Let's see if I can do a coincident mate here with that one top scalloped edge. Put it in there in my mate selections, rotate that around, zoom out a little bit, and let's see if it grabs that and rotates it over. No, it doesn't like that. It doesn't like that at all. So that's not going to work. So we're not going to use that particular mate. So let's just get out of that. All right, let's go back to the back view and see it again. So my other option would be is to go down here to the very bottom on that last distance mate that I made. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and see if I can edit that mate instead of doing it with it based upon the edge here. What I'm going to do is try an angled mate. When I did that, it flipped it upside down. Well, that's definitely not what I want. So I'm going to go ahead and flip that back up, and now it looks like it likes that, and I'm going to start keying in some angles. Let's just key in 5 degrees and see what happens. Well, wow, it rotated it 5 degrees forward. Well, that's not what I want, but what if I hit the flip dimension, rotated it back? Well, that looks a little bit better. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take it all the way up to 20 degrees on my units here and hit accept, and what it did is it pulled it all the way up to this one edge right there, very close. That's pretty close. Let's experiment a little bit. Let's try 21 degrees and see what that gets us. That's pretty close, actually, very close. Well, if I'm making this thing, what I'm going to have to do actually is put a tack weld in right in this edge right there. So if I'm going to put a tack weld in, I probably got a little bit of a gap, half a degree gap. So what I'm going to do is I'll go up here and I'll say let's rotate that back maybe 21.5 degrees. That's exactly what I need right there. That looks actually pretty good. Now the only thing left to do is to accept that mate, make sure we get that in there. I'm actually a little too far back with the arrowhead, so maybe what I want to do is modify this mate here and move it forward. Well, we'll go ahead and do that on the next video, but most importantly right now, let's do a rebuild and let's do a save. Okay, we'll come back to that in a moment.